Oh, now you look comfortable.
Well, I didn't get the memo that we could change scum here. Oh, God. Record.
Hey, she's getting a free copier since this month till October without having to pay, and I'm still paying it, so she can give me a little 25-cent
Sheriff, you have the floor, sir.
I got the floor. Good deal. You should have this. I left it with a copy with all of y'all when I walked in here. I probably should have left out that little wish list business because that's like, okay, I really don't need this, so I'm just wishing. If you look, the very first item is there's two things on my operations side of my budget that need to be addressed. My mobile and body-worn cameras are WatchGuard. They are all starting to break down. I actually have new cars now that I can't put cameras in because I can't even part them together to make a camera work. All of this equipment is no longer supported, it's obsolete. They do not make it. All of the new Motorola, which bought WatchGuard, all their new stuff is not compatible with anything in my office software-wise. So if I go with Motorola on new cameras, it's going to cost me $600 and something thousand for the 50 cameras for my in-car, plus 30-something thousand a year maintenance. They run me a 5-year contract, basically a lease of about $160 a month, but I still have to replace my server and do whatever IT needs to do in my office to make everything function with the new equipment, and that's all on me with WatchGuard or Motorola. I have a quote from them for about, I think it was just under $160,000. I have been doing business with LensLock. I have like 8 cameras right now that I've had under lease with them, just as a test drive because I knew this was coming. LensLock, I don't have to supply anything. They are completely, they install it, they fix it, they replace it, they update and upgrade it, and I don't have to have a server, I don't have to have any equipment. There is no list of things that I got to supply for this, and they're about $140,000 a year. 145. I think I haven't seen the last quote because we realized that we needed to put some kind of video equipment in our interrogation room that would be more, that we don't have any. We take body cams to video in there right now. We need something that we can actually use. So we added that to the quote. I haven't seen the quote come back since we added the interrogation room into it.
I can tell you that using your body cams for an interrogation is not good in an interrogation room. You need to fix the camera.
Yes, and we've been needing it. We just haven't budgeted or found the money to put it in there. But LensLock is going to give me a quote to upgrade all of that.
How many in-car systems do you have? 36?
Right at 50.
50. Okay.
I think I got 47 cars, and I got 45 that got cameras in them.
Sheriff, when did we just buy or not?
We
body
granted,
cameras?
body-worn cameras, we granted 2 years ago, maybe 3. I think it was 2. Those cameras we purchased on that grant were obsolete, and they sold them to us anyway. When that grant was done, the cameras we bought were already no longer serviced. So, and they are starting to break down, and we can't
Talking about
repair them.
body cam.
Body cams.
Yeah, I was trying to think, I thought we just.
We bought like 30-something body cams.
It was like 36 body.
Yes, and it was, we granted it through ACOG, I think, and got the body cams. But when we got them, I find out shortly after I purchased them on the grant that they're already out of service. So their life is their life.
How old is the in-car systems?
Oh, 6, 7 years old.
You got them when Tom Dupnick was here, right?
Those in-car systems are not even their latest generation of WatchGuards when Motorola bought them. So they're a generation before. So I've been here 4. They're probably 6, 7, 8 years old. And like I said, buying brand new ones, I've got two quotes that we can look at. But that's something that's going to add to my budget on the operating side that definitely goes over 3.5%, any way you look at it.
Just for my clarification, Sheriff, so this Peacemaker Technologies is.
I haven't got to that yet.
Oh, okay.
That's my next step. I'm talking about the video cameras, in-car and body worn, okay?
But that's, okay.
That's separate.
Estimated 140?
Yeah, somewhere between 140 and 150, and I think on my proposed budget, I think I allowed 300 just in case. I put that into that worksheet. I gave the 300 in case that's where I needed to be. Because the next step, after we get through with the body cams, unless y'all have any questions about that, if you understand what I'm saying. LensLock will give me the same equipment. We've been using them for over a year and a half now. We're very pleased with the work for the same price, for a little bit less than what Motorola will charge me to go to the Motorola new cameras.
So the more we get on body cams, the better price?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to throw this in. Our 4 constables need body cams. They have their own budget. Could we?
I'm pretty
get in on that?
sure, and I talked to Jason the other day because he had asked about the constables needing even in-car and body cams. I'm not sure I can't lump them into my contract with LensLock without any problem.
You can.
I'm pretty sure all I gotta do is call him and say, I need 4 more cameras. Now, this quote through LensLock is, though, I quoted 75 body cams. That way I have an individual body cam for every jailer. Right now, they're swapping at shifts, which causes problems with possible battery usage, plus who's using the camera. When we started talking this, the jail said, you know, we'd really like to have each person have their own, and they're responsible for and record just their own. So I quoted this 25 more body cameras than what I really need for me.
What does each unit cost? Body cam?
Through Motorola, they're $1,000-something a piece.
Okay. Well, I mean, if there's a way.
No,
we could do it.
through LensLock, they're $1,000-something a piece. I don't remember what
I know
Motorola
that-
was.
I know the constables don't have them, or they do. I saw Constable Tallier was here. I know Lika doesn't have one.
No, and he's asked for one, and I don't have a problem giving him one of my body-worn cameras, the watch guards. And I don't know whether he's got one yet or not. Only trouble is, he has no way to download it unless he comes in my office, because there is no external way for him to look at what he does unless he comes and utilizes our Wi-Fi and everything in our office.
Well, I guess he's gonna have to do that if we get.
But if he goes to LensLock, it's all in the cloud.
Oh,
It's all cloud-based,
Okay.
and all he has to have is a Wi-Fi hotspot, and he can download and look at and pull all of his videos. So I'd recommend us going with LensLock. I really would, because there's not near as many turnaround and back doors as Motorola, and it's a little bit more, but that's an ongoing expense. But I'm thinking, after looking at the enterprise lease, by the time I buy these outright and wear them out, I'm back to another large expense again. I just run it out over time. It's kind of like leasing this stuff. It basically works out the same. It's the way I look at it. Instead of having to purchase it all together, you can just run it out over a period of years. And at the end of this contract, I think LensLock every 3 years, they upgrade equipment and/or software, or both, whatever they do. If it breaks, you call them, they send you one, and you send the old one in, or they come fix it. It's a pretty good system. Now I'll go to Peacemaker, because that was the other big ticket item. Peacemaker is a computer system based out of New Braunfels. Right now, they've quoted us for our office $143,500. I need the computers that I'm running right now. I think I have 45 or 50 computers. I believe I have over 10 of them, maybe 15 that are completely down right now, don't even work. Jason priced me some replacement computers at right at $3,000 a piece, plus That means I gotta buy new hardware because the docking stations, the commuters ain't the same. Gotta buy new docking stations, maybe new mounts in the cars. Our ticket writers will probably work on them, so that's probably not an issue. But there's other expense other than just the computers. Peacemaker will supply, just like Lenslock, computers, stand, all the software, everything, and I don't touch anything. And IT doesn't have to do any work. Right now, I call them quite often. We're not making contact. My computer won't log into the system. IT does all of that right now. I'm taxing them, Colton and Jason, pretty hard sometimes. If I go to Peacemaker, IT doesn't have to work with it. If I have a problem with that, I call Peacemaker in New Braunfels and they come fix it. Over time, I believe this will actually benefit us. Plus, Peacemaker allows us, which we can't do now through our current system, to talk directly to the JPs. All our tickets can be automatically filed. We don't have to do any more paper. Is that not correct?
That is correct. That's what they presented.
If I go to Peacemaker, they're processing our citations, and us being able to handle it, the legwork goes way down.
Basically, electronically files the citation, basically compatible to what it's currently doing for DPS. It would now do that for county if they had that type of software. It would electronically file our citations into the computer, and then it would also have a link that it would upload and file their complaints and their things in with our software, because they are compatible between the two to integrate.
And right now, those two, our system and theirs will not talk, so everything's paper. And I think this would be a benefit to us also in the long run, just for efficiency, to look at Peacemaker as the option to replacing these computers rather than buying them and us doing all the data software and everything else.
That's what this, right here where it says entire fleet, that's
Yes,
Peacemaker?
that is well, actually, both of these is the entire fleet. I'm replacing everything. Camera, body-worn cameras, video cameras, and computers, all the interior part of the car, as far as video and computer equipment.
But you put 300 in here to cover some of this or not?
I put in my worksheet, I put in the $300,000 extra under my computer software and management in order to cover this. But I knew I needed to put it on here and talk to y'all because that's a $300,000 increase to just one line item in my budget, which is way more than normal. And y'all were gonna need to, because if I don't do it, I gotta start looking for options.
May I ask a question, Sheriff?
Yes, ma'am.
SB 22 will be available again starting this new fiscal year, and you are allocated $350,000 that you can use toward equipment.
Right.
Would you consider using SB 22 money to pay for these two items?
That was gonna be my next deal. I won't consider using Senate Bill 22 money for this, depending on where our salaries end up. Because where my salaries end up, I can use that Senate Bill 22 money to offset and augment those salaries. Until I see where the salaries end up, I'm in a situation, everybody here's worked somewhere. 3 to 5 years, well, maybe 2 to 5 years, people get a little antsy. But right now, with my workforce, I'm working on 2.5 to 3 years. If I don't keep salaries competitive around me, they ain't newbies anymore. They can walk out the door and go make $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 30 minutes away. I've got to do something to keep these people, or they're going to just walk out and I'll be training new ones. And I don't need to be in that mode. So I need to try to get the salaries in this office at least comparable. We don't have to be higher, but I can use Senate Bill 22 money to augment that. If we can get close, I can make it even closer with Senate Bill 22 money.
And remind me, Sheriff, I'm trying to pull up the SB 22. I know it was to increase the sheriff's salary. Was it
It was designed to get everybody's salary over 45,000. Yeah, we're already over, but that doesn't mean I can't pay them more to make them more competitive.
That was a question
doesn't
I had.
prevent-
I know there was a stipulation in there, you could only go so far with it. If you're already making that certain amount, you couldn't go over that bridge as far as increase the salary. Am I wrong on that, Brent?
That'll be a FAQ we're gonna have to ask, I guess.
I gotta look at the agreement, hang on.
I thought it was, everybody had to get to the minimum.
You had to be, no. This was supposed to, if they couldn't get to the minimum, you could make them get to the minimum. And we were already at the minimum whenever Senate Bill 22 came about. And I used it last year for a position and equipment, because we were already fairly good, salary-wise.
Yeah, that was my understanding. If you were up to the minimum, that was it. You couldn't use it beyond that.
I think I can.
Okay, so the authorized use is to provide a minimum annual salary of at least 75,000 for the county sheriff, 45,000 for each deputy, who performs motor vehicle stops, and 40,000 for each jailer. So this says providing minimum annual salary. And then it said, provided that each county sheriff meets the definition and each deputy sheriff meets that definition, meaning that they meet those salary requirements, then the sheriff can use SB 22 to increase the salary of the persons described in the paragraph, meaning the jailers and the deputies, to hire additional deputies or staff in the sheriff's office. And then C, to purchase vehicles, firearms, and equipment in the sheriff's office. So basically, once the criteria are met, he can then choose to use SB 22 to either A, B, or C.
So I can augment salaries, I can create new positions, or I can buy equipment.
Correct.
And I did, basically last year, I added positions and
You
bought
did a
equipment.
mix. Yeah, we added, I think it was 98,000 for equipment and the rest went to salaries, which did not include the sheriff's salary. It was only for the deputies and jailers.
What do we have in there? What are we gonna get from SB 22 this year?
350.
If I budget, it'll be the full 350,000.
Well, and the good thing is we're close on salaries.
If you look at that, and at the proposal, I'm sitting at about 55,000, puts us kind of centered. It doesn't make us low and it doesn't make us high. That centers us, and that's what I was looking at here for salary for entry, is to put us in the middle.
So I got a question on that.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, so they're at what, 51 deputies?
Yeah, just under 52, something.
Of those deputies that we take into account, those that get to take their vehicle home out of the county, that's an extra added cost in their pocket.
True.
So we're gonna lose those guys. They get to come to work on our gasoline. I mean, that's what we ratified here in court. Said
Right.
As long as they're one county over, that's fine.
Right.
That's an increase in their salary too, isn't it?
It is, and that's why, I guess that's why I'm not looking to be at the top with everybody else. I just don't want to be on the bottom, because if you raise their salary and you take the car away, are they gonna stay or are they gonna leave? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. But if that's the way it is, then I couldn't answer that question. If you raise the salary but say, okay, but the car stays here so we can offset the expense, will they leave? There's a percentage of them that would probably, I don't know. But that's why I gave y'all the range. Y'all, it's y'all's decision to decide where salaries are here, not mine. I just given you information that I think y'all can utilize. I do know, I think I got it on that copy before I came over here. The city of Nixon pays $2 an hour more to start. City of Livonia pays we start at $23.75. City of Livonia starts at $24.30 to $27, depending on your experience when you come to work. So they're a big range.
Are they paying steps based on your peace officer certification?
I guess that's what they're doing as far as when you come to work. Depending on where you are, they give you a step. City of Floresville, is basically a wash with us right now. The city of Floresville and us pay almost exactly the same, except they have somewhere between $4,000 and $7,000 worth of incentives figured in there. Longevity pay, night differential, all this other stuff. So you'd have to get real technical to see exactly where we set up with them.
I would, also just something for your consideration or caution, that if we use SB 22 money for increased salaries and SB 22 goes away, that is gonna be a big hit to the county budget later on when we have to make a decision either to reduce salaries or increase our budget significantly to maintain what SB 22 was paying, 350,000 or whatever it is, at that time.
If you pay it in a stipend instead of a salary, it would still be the same.
Yeah, but
No,
it,
you
And
can't-
then it-
You can't use SB 22 money to pay a bonus or a stipend, it has to be part of their actual salary.
right, but what he's saying is if it went away, then you could pay him that stipend. I mean, but it would still be, to your point, it would still be the.
No.
same- yeah, it would-
Basically, you're saying you can't use it for that.
Yeah, you cannot use it to pay as a stipend or a bonus.
It has to be part of their actual hourly rate.
Correct.
Okay.
So, I would consider the 200, just rough estimate, 283,500 is what his equipment request is, probably give or take, the 300,000 that he's talking about. And consider using SB 22 money for that, that wipes that off your plate, and then that way you can take into consideration utilizing county funds for whatever salary requests you might look at, just an option.
I'm in the same boat, though. No, I am. If she uses that money and that money goes away,
But you have your equipment.
You already
But
got
you have
your
your-
equipment.
no. It's leased.
It's a lease.
It's a lease.
Well, then
It's
I
not
understand.
my equipment. So if I can't pay the lease, I gotta go somewhere else.
Is it at
So
least
now I'm in the purchase or,
143,000 a year?
what?
Is that at least 143,000 a year?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We didn't know,
Oh, I missed
You know.
the whole.
Yes.
because we were talking about 3 years or something a while ago, so I figured that was the whole.
No, that is 140 a year. Yes, sir.
You get a hickey one way or the other.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, either way, at some point in time, if that Senate Bill 22 money goes away, we're still in the same position.
We have our grand people looking at stuff.
Because that's state money, that's not federal.
No, are you talking about looking for
Or
this type of?
cameras,
equipment?
for stuff like that, for law enforcement type stuff.
The grants that come out through the office of the governor, and they open up in December, and we start applying for that, and we could apply for that in December, January, we do the scoring in April and get notified, but that won't be, money awarded until the fiscal year 25-26 budget, so next October.
So in other words, we didn't get in it
We
this
didn't
time.
apply for anything for this go round. That's not to say that there aren't any other grants out there, but I'm not sure right now if there are. Not for equipment like this. Those usually come through ACOG, through the Office of Governor, Public Safety. Oh, they stopped the clock, just FYI, because we're,
Because we're 30 minutes into it.
I just got one quick question. I have your stuff right here, Sheriff. Is the budget, is the technology at the courthouse down the street under his budget? His
The
security cameras and stuff?
No,
security cameras.
they're in the courthouse budget. It's not part of my budget.
Courthouse security is a separate budget.
Okay. Did you get the latest security assessment on the courthouse?
Yes, I did. I've looked at that.
I noticed it was
and-
addressed to you and me.
And I've, if you flip to the last page, you'll see my personnel.
Yes.
Okay. Due to that, I would like to see the personnel from the courthouse budget moved under my budget, just the personnel. Because right now, we're running about too short of what we need to service that, especially on court days and transports. We need to add 2 more people to the courthouse security. in order to service the courthouse like I think we need to. But it's not necessarily every day, every week. So I put in a proposal here that basically they be like flex deputies. On court days, high-volume transport days, they're at the courthouse doing security. On other days when it's slow, then they're supplementing patrol those days. Basically using them in both positions. I can't do that with that affecting two different budgets.
Have we graduated those 3 officers already from the academy?
We got, one graduated, 2 graduate in the 6th of August, and then the others graduate in September.
How many total?
There'll be 5 of them total when I'm finished. 1, 2, 3, 5, yes, 5.
Maybe the 2 seniors on the court here can answer. I don't know, how did that get under the courthouse? But
It was before they came.
I can explain.
Okay.
So courthouse security is a fund that's mandated by statute. So we collect fees that go, and I don't know where, fees girls would know more where the fees are coming from. But those fees then are offset, and the law says that we have to use the fees collected for courthouse security to pay or offset salaries for courthouse bailiffs, basically. So a fund was created even before my time. The funds are collected, receipted into the revenue for that fund. And then the general fund picks up any difference. So we use whatever's collected, we budget that for the salaries in courthouse security. And then the general fund, we do a transfer from the general fund budget to courthouse security to offset the difference. So that's required by statute in order for us to utilize the funds that are being collected.
Okay.
So,
That-
yeah.
Except for one thing, what's the total number that you collect? How much do you collect a year in courthouse funds?
But I guess there's no reason he couldn't manage that.
I
That's,
could do that also.
would it make it easier for their mandated 40 hours that they have to have every 2 years? I mean, who takes care of all their training, their TCO?
He does.
I'm doing that.
it now.
I am doing that.
Yeah.
But I have no freedom to move personnel because once they're budgeted over there, if their salary's different from somebody I'd rather have over there, we got to make a budget amendment to move salary. There's no reason. And I'm pretty sure that they're not collecting enough money to pay even one salary in courthouse security funds. I think that could be used for equipment, computers, cameras,
But
and
that's
all that
not
other
what
stuff.
The law says we have to use the fees that are collected to pay for salaries. So whether we collect
Not-
$5 or $500,000,
Well, then you throw it into my budget as paying for the salaries.
no, it's in the budget for Fund 2600. That is not, your department is in Fund 1200.
I understand that.
Courthouse security is 2600.
I understand. But you're not paying for all of those salaries.
We-
They're coming out of the general fund budget.
Yeah, the transfer is, but that's budgeted in courthouse
Well,
security.
how much are you actually taking in courthouse security fees in a year? Because those can't go anywhere. They
Actual
should.
last year, $32,309.40.
We budget about 30,000 in fees collected, and then we budget.
That's not even one half of one salary.
Well, I guess the question is so can you bring it in there, put it in that, and then transfer it to whatever it is, 1,200 or whatever?
But we have
pay for
we
it.
have a line item that says transfer from general fund.
To the-
$278,000 or whatever it is, this year was 278,000, to offset the difference of between the fees that we collect versus the
Right.
salaries that are allocated to that fund. There, you can't
And you
mix
can't
them,
move it.
yeah.
Okay.
So if we have 4 bailiffs,
Well, no, all you need is one.
no, but I'm just.
No, but all you need is one. You can move 3 of them over to me and only have the one, because you only got 30,000 that you're paying for.
Not even
So you move the offset of
One
his
time, one
salary
time.
and have just one person attached to courthouse security and send the rest of them to me, and that way I can continue courthouse security, except for one person.
But the problem lies in that have people that are, positions that are tied to funds, right? So if you have one employee that's coded to Fund 2600, that's the only employee that can work courthouse security because that's how it's tied into payroll. So we've,
Right, and I
even
think-
before my time, if we had 4 people under courthouse security, and all 4 of those salaries are coded to Fund 2600, because that's how they're processed through payroll, the way Christian and I budget then is we take the difference of what's collected in fees and transfer from the general fund to Fund 2600 so that we have a balanced budget. That has nothing to do with who's overseeing the
But I
courthouse
think
security.
the question is you don't receive enough money to fund one person. I think what he's
Correct.
suggesting is fund one person under that 2,600 and add whatever you need to add to it. That person, whoever he assigns to that, will not be removed from courthouse security. But that allows him the flexibility for the other 3 or 4, however many it is, to move them around to do whatever he needs to do to meet his needs. That's,
And I still need 4 or 5 at the
Well, there's
courthouse.
Times on Fridays, we don't have any security.
That's why,
I'm
that's
the
why,
only one here with
I
it.
understand that, Judge, that's why I'm looking, I need the personnel to put there. But I need to be able to be flexible in who I put there, and I can't do it when the budget's not on my budget.
No, the reason you can't do it is because for payroll purposes, you can't assign Commissioner Perdulitz to physically work courthouse security and not tell payroll to code Jeff Perdulitz to courthouse security. It doesn't work that way. You can't just pick and choose who you want to
Yes,
work where.
I can assign anybody to work anywhere here.
Not when they're assigned to a certain fund, Sheriff.
They don't need to be assigned to that fund. All you need to assign is one person. If you got to make up that $30,000 somewhere, if you got to spend it, all you need is one person. The other 3 that are over there can be under my budget.
Can I ask a question of payroll purposes though? So let's say you want them under your budget, but you're gonna utilize him Monday and Tuesday for courthouse security, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for trouble,
Right.
whatever. The problem is I wanna know budget purpose, payroll or auditing purposes, Monday and Tuesday for courthouse security.
No.
You're gonna need to know that payroll wise for future budget, cause then what if it changes? We don't know that gentleman worked that many hours, so under.
I don't, no. The one you've got assigned has got his set deal. He will be there every week, every day it's in open.
Will, but
The other 3, what difference does it make? They do not get paid out of that budget. They will be paid out of me.
But we
I am
get paid
assigning them.
According to their position.
No,
to
they're
achieve-
deputies.
I don't operate.
They are
that way
deputies.
payroll-wise. That's
They are
what I'm saying.
deputies.
Law-wise,
They
I
are
don't
assigned,
code
they are
it.
assigned to
They'll all-
courthouse,
they would all
but
be
they are
making the
deputies.
same amount of money, I think is what we're getting.
Yes.
here.
They're
But it
assigned to
doesn't
whatever
matter how
job I
much-
give them, their
how much
job
they
title
make,
is the same.
Where what fund they are coded to.
Right.
That's what makes the
Right,
difference.
but you only need, with the amount of money that you receive,
So
you
that
only have one person.
That one
and
person is gonna do courthouse security for here, district, where.
Wherever, 5 days a week, that is the only thing he's gonna do.
I will fulfill the rest of the needs through my budget.
Yeah, and then instead of moving 278 or whatever,
To
$50,000.
courthouse security,
to
you put the
courthouse security, you put it
278 in
his
my budget,
His
and
3
I am
people, he
required to
assigns
supply.
whoever needs to be over here for, and some days it might be 4 or 5, and other days it might be only 1 or 2.
Exactly. And it doesn't make any difference what name I attach to that because their salary's already being paid to do whatever I tell them to do that day.
Ponder that.
Ponder that.
Right now, between here and there, we have 4 or so.
4, 5, because my transport is pretty much stays over here, but there's only 4 budgeted over there. The 5th one, he stays here mostly, but if he does transports, he's gone. But I've got enough now to where sometimes I got 2 transports at the same time, which now cuts me down to not being able to fulfill.
You're literally handcuffed by the way that this is because you only have a certain number of people that are getting paid in that fund. And from what we just looked at, it's nowhere close
Exactly.
You know, you're talking about $214,000 worth of 2024 budget monies for full-time salary, but we're only collecting
$30,000.
$30,000 against it.
And all you need,
It's almost not worthwhile to just quit collecting the fee and just let us pay it, because that's actually causing you more problems and not making you any money. It really is. Don't collect the fee, then you don't have to have that place to spend it.
mandatory.
Well,
And it's probably nothing.
And then just let it build
A
up.
big county like Bear County, they probably make a couple $1 million a year off of it, whereas we
Yes.
get $30,000. So
Well,
it's
think
not
of who you're dealing with.
What is
They
it-
can't pay their fines, they don't pay their fees, so half of them never pay what they're owed.
Now, what are these fees derived from exactly?
It's court fees that they attach to the deal. There's a courthouse security fee that if you're convicted of this, you gotta pay this, yes. And like I said, majority of them can't even pay their fine, much less the fees. So
Right.
it doesn't get paid. That's why I knew it couldn't be much at all.
Sheriff, you want to go through those positions right quick? I'll save you from this agony.
Well, I was fixing to tell you that said, to save y'all from the agony, do I want to just quit and let y'all read it and y'all make your, because it's y'all's decision to make anyway. But I told you at a couple of commissioner court ago, I have a kind of an idea to help my,
Animal control?
to help my CID, because we keep getting further and further behind. This big car burglary deal we had, and I have 2 investigators tied up on 100 and something car burglaries, but they got good leads and they're running it. A lot of what they were doing, an analyst could have done and freed them up to do investigations. They could have thrown this stuff to an analyst and said, hey, look all this stuff up and handle it. In CID, an analyst / case preparation person would be a beautiful wonder to help them, because then they can put stuff over here, they can go to investigate another case or do whatever, and then when they've got it all, say, okay, I got it, now you can come look at it and put your case together. It just made so much sense to me.
I'm going to tell you how important an analyst is. I solved all the cases that I ever solved in my 30-some-odd years was 90% from analysts going and looking up the information for me, then I took the lead. So it is very vital to have an analyst.
Yes, because and the reason I say that is because I walked in there and I got 2 investigators sitting there going through home videos, TikTok, Instagram, LPRs. They're doing this legwork that an analyst could have done. You give them the license plate, you do this, they compile it all. When they got it, say, hey, look, this is what I got, and then they determine whether it's usable. It saves them, but they spent days and weeks sitting in there doing the legwork, which put other cases on the back burner, which I thought, man, this is a mistake. I need to really look at that analyst position in CID. The animal control, I know you said we'd do something about it. I said I'd work on it whenever I got elected, and I'm kicking the can 4 years down the road. I put that on there just to open up the deal to say, hey, look, can we start looking at doing something that we've told the people out here we were going to do for 4 years and we ain't done?
Well, actually, that is a good topic for the ARP committee, because we've got some money that could, at least get a facility going, probably for that.
The only thing I have a warning on that is I've talked to so many county judges that did it, and they're like,
The facility is a headache, right?
headache. And the best way to go is, if you have the funding, is to contract with someone.
Yes. But I put that on there to open it to where, hey, look, we need to be moving here, and if y'all can see a way for us to move, I'm open for any suggestion. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Sorry, Brenda.
Oh, yeah,
She's sitting there
you don't
going,
have to apologize to me.
Geddes?
Yes, I'm sorry, JP, for
You're from Stockdale, you can't add.
No, 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 no.
And we've already run out of money. Sorry.
You've been there long enough.
Time and money.
Transplant.
We ran out of money an hour ago.
All right, you're up.
I provided the little yellow folders for you. So basically,
Just let you know.
my name is Monica Gutierrez. I'm with the Wilson County JP4. I'm here today to ask for your consideration in adjusting two line items under salary in my office. So the first of which is for my head clerk, Elsie Barreto. Her salary, I'm requesting it to be increased equal to that to match Elizabeth Rodriguez's salary. Currently, as many of you know, I too was a chief deputy clerk with Wilson County JP1 office. I do have 18 years of experience with that office and doing that job. What I'm here today to present to you is that we update the chief clerk job descriptions, which I have included in your little packets. Currently, the office is set up to have one chief clerk and a second clerk. What I would like to do is consider allowing both clerks to be listed as chief deputy clerks, and doing away with the second position. So basically, and the reasoning behind that is because I have two clerks that are equally certified, equally qualified to do this work. Both come highly trained, they have the experience to back it up, and along with that, they also have certification as a Wilson, or as a Texas Justice Court certified clerk. By getting that certification, this is something that you don't go to and just attend a class and just get continuing education hours. This is something that our Texas Justice Court Training Center has put up a test mandated exam that there's actually study guides. You have to put in the time and the work to learn office knowledge and procedures to be able to test this exam. This is a very extensive exam that is done, and on this exam, you can't just merely just pass it. You have to make a 75 or higher to be able to become certified. I too have this certification, so I can test to you it's not something that's taken lightly. This is something you're putting in a lot of hours in addition to your working time to study and prepare for this exam to be able to get certified. Both of my clerks, I have provided copies of their certificates that they are both certified under this. So in my job, I believe that the office should work as a team. We're only as good as our weakest link. We cannot proceed and work efficiently without working together. Anything that I ask one of my clerks to do, I would not hesitate in asking the other one. If one is out on vacation, away from the office, I would expect for my office to run the same. If they're out for 2 weeks, a month, whatever it may be, if there's an emergency, I want my office to still run smoothly and efficiently to get the job done. And currently, I have that. I have the experience of the clerks, the way that they work, the way that they handle the procedures, handle everything in my office. Everything is handled that I ask. I cross-train. I don't designate job descriptions. Everything is done between both of my clerks equally. And I would like for their pay to basically be the same, to be adjusted to be the same, and do away with the second clerk position, because that's not what I have. I have two head chief deputy clerks. So that's what I'm asking. The second line item that I'm asking you for to adjust is the salary for the justice of the peace. I would like for the salary to be increased equal to match the other elected official salaries. In your pamphlet, I have provided information from last year's budget, the 23-24 budget. I have highlighted the justice of the peace of what we're currently making, and a few other elected officials that are highlighted as well. What I'm asking is that we be set up to par of what the other lower elected officials are at, to be equal to that. I'd say the biggest misinterpretation of the Justice of the Peace office is that we're only part-time. I can tell you 100% we are full-time. Upon agreement from the Justice of the Peace, we are under an on-call schedule. This means that we're on call 24/7, day and night. We do this every fourth week. During that time, our duties include magistration for adult and juveniles any hour of the night. If it's a juvenile, they have so many hours that they have to be magistrated. So it can be all hours of the night. The adult, we can kind of work and flex to get that into our schedule, but that time is very consuming. We also are on call for inquests or death scenes and stuff like that we handle the inquests and death certificates. We also may issue any emergency warrants that may come up or issue any commitments for further detention that may arise. The following 3 weeks that we're not on call, that's our catch-up weeks. That's time where we're playing catch-up for that on-call week that we can't get to the everyday duties that we handle in our office. So that's the time that we're making our normal decisions. It may include, criminal, civil, everyday decisions, pre-judgment, post-judgment, warrants, motion, orders. There's more than enough work that we should be considered full-time. We're definitely putting in the time, and I would like to see that we are adjusted for that time. Our responsibilities alone for the courts, as everyone has said, everything's increasing. We have seen in our office, when I first started, our civil jurisdiction was at 5,000. We moved to 10,000. And since September of 2020, we increased to $20,000 through the justice courts. Our civil cases has increased. This is something you don't always see the pay scale to compensate that. In a justice court, our civil filings that are the most time consuming that we take in our court, the court collects $54. You're not seeing that time. You're not seeing that effort that's going into those cases. It's a lot of paperwork involved, a lot of stuff. Our traffic, everything throughout the years, it increases year to year to year. Every 2 years, the legislator adds something more to our courts. And we just keep taking it, and so that's the main thing. I'd like to make sure if it is classified that we are part-time, is to please reclassify that to where the JPs are considered full-time. And in that, therefore, I would just like to be compensated for that time. And that's kind of where I'm at and what I'm requesting today. Questions?
The $54, is that a mandated fee
The-
from the state?
Yes, sir. That's what we shall charge. It's not any flex. It's not anything that we're able to adjust or increase in any way. This is what we shall collect.
You use the word shall instead of may.
Correct.
Anybody,
Go ahead, Scott.
well, anybody who has been here a long time know the fact that they're $10,000, a little bit more behind the other electeds. Did that come about because there was the thought process of they were part-time, or?
I'm looking at the 2024 tax salary survey that was provided by almost every county. And I'm going to assume because the salaries were already set for JPs before I came into office, but our salaries for JPs, and actually was a significant increase last year, because they were making much less prior to last year, and now we bumped them up to where they fall in line with the majority of JPs in the state. They, if for comparison, if you, Carnes, for example, the JPs at Carnes are at 55,000.
Look at Gonzalez,
Yeah, that's what I'm
Guadalupe.
looking for them. Gonzalez
Yeah,
is
Viscosi.
66,553. Guadalupe is, I don't know if they provided, let me look. Oh, they got a bigger population, here we go. Atascosa's 55,000. Guadalupe's 78,000, and they're with a population of 100,000 or more. I don't think, I've never read in any paperwork that I have found that any elected official salary was ever classified as part-time. Because if that was the case,
That wouldn't work because
There-
benefits and
there are no
everything, yeah,
time,
well,
yeah.
and there's other legal ramifications to that.
yeah.
But my question is not for you, so my question is for you three. So how many of y'all want to tag along behind her with this chief deputy clerk thing? Well, if you only have one, then you only have one. Okay.
But I will say that, both of them are the go-to people, both of my clerks, when they have an issue, they will directly pick up the phone and walk across the hall and talk to either Liz or, anybody that's there, especially the judge, because she was 18 years experience. And you just can't put a number on 18 years of experience.
Well, right.
It's hard. But, yeah, what she's asking for is reasonable based on what I've seen the last year and a half. We utilize their brains all the time.
Judge Griffin, you only have one?
Let's go one, discussing that when we go back.
And Judge Terry, did you say you only have one?
Judge, I'm sorry, what's the tenure of both of your staff members?
The employee salary is attached in there as well.
No,
And it
their
has their
tenure.
hire, it
Yes,
has their hire
tenure.
date included.
99 and 2018.
Elsie was a clerk prior through JP2, so she had prior experience before coming back. So you'll see her certificate was actually certified when she was in JP2. So she worked in JP2 prior. She went and did some paralegal classes and stuff like that through an attorney. And then she came back into the county clerk's office, and then from there, she came back over to the JP4, and she picked back up on the JP staff.
Just for my notes, just to make sure I have this right. So what you're requesting is to pay them equally,
Yes, ma'am.
and you have somebody with
To basically
20
redo
years
the
tenure.
job,
I know, but hear me out. You have
Yes, ma'am.
somebody who's been here for 20 years,
Mhm.
who has steadily received increases to be at the salary where she's at now, and you want to increase somebody who's been here 6 years to same equal amount.
she has more than 6 years' experience from her prior that's not on there. But yes, ma'am, that is, I'm talking about the job description. I've been here 20 years now. 18 years of that was as a clerk. I can tell you that the pay that she's at is not because of the year she's been here. She did receive a couple of increases,
Who are you referring to?
Elizabeth. And
Yeah, she's
there
the
are
one who's
pay
been here-
increases throughout the year, not just because of the years of experience in here. I
Right.
myself as a clerk as well. It's a matter of fighting for it is. And whose decision is it? It's the commissioners. So it's going to be on if they agree to do it or not. And pay increases do come other than just years of experience. And I know for a fact that that was done prior, and it was probably prior to your experience here as well. But I know because I was a clerk, I was there, and I had seen it through the years of when increases were done. So it's not necessarily this or that, it's when they have the same exact duties. When this is the job description, I want to do away with the second clerk, because I don't believe that my office should have a second clerk, head clerk, different responsibilities between my clerks. I want them cross-trained. I want them to have the same experiences, regardless of who it is. If you call my office, I expect either one of them to handle it the same. So what I'm moving for is to do away with the second clerk position and have 2 head clerks. The head clerk's position, if you look at the other JP offices, all the head clerks are labeled the same, because that's their job description title. And you can look at everybody's employee. It's not the number of years you've been here. It's the job duties that you're doing and performing. You can look at, there's a lot of people that are making the same. You can pull JP1, JP2, JP3. Those other clerks Nancy is not the same years. Wanda Reed is not the same years. She's making the same that Elizabeth Rodriguez is making. It's not the number of years. It's the job title that you're coming in and the work that you're performing. So what I'm asking is for you to award that to Elsie, who is putting in the same work and the same responsibility as my other clerk. It's not the number of years. And that's kind of a bad default here because it's not the number of years. It's not, she's got all these years. I agree with that. But when your job duties are the same, and that's how you justify it between 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of those head clerks are making the same. Like I said, Wanda Reed's making a head clerk salary. Nancy is making a head clerk salary. She didn't come in till much years later. So if that's the deal that you're going to consider, the number of years she's got of more experience, it's not. It's out of the water. It doesn't work. You can look down your salary reports and you can see it's not number of years. People are put into the same pay category regarding their job descriptions and the work that they do throughout the different offices. And you can look at their little hire date and you can see it's not that way. And that's what I would like for you to ask for you to take the time to look into that.
Okay.
Do I have anything else? Thank you.
Were you putting your gloves on or what?
No. Head stretch. Okay. I'm not gonna take the full 10 minutes, I promise.
Okay, well, you better hurry, dude.
Okay. It's like this. When I went down through my budget, I allocated an extra 1.5%. Instead of 3.5%, it was 5% because I cut it too much last year because that was my original budget, the first one I'd worked on. So I'm only asking for an extra $960 over, 6 categories. So less than $1,000. Less than one Harris radio. All right. The really big thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the same thing that I last stood at this microphone and asked you about in April. Some of you were not enthralled with the idea and the concept of adding a part-time person or what I had asked for. Originally, it was a seasonal temporary employee. Brenda? Okay. So on my original budget, I allocated money for seasonal temporary, and that worked great. I was able to train somebody to fill in the gaps for people being able to take vacation, comp time, and helped me throughout the year as we had a very high number of cases. I'm coming back to you again with the request of having a part-time employee position, 24 hours per week at the standard 1724. I believe that was what we talked about, Brenda?
For this fiscal year, that would have been the dollar amount, yes.
Yeah. So it ends up being to make my office run smoothly and allow for both of my current clerks to take the educational time that they need to attend the conferences that they need to attend, to get the certifications, to get to where Liz and Elsie are at. I'm asking for less than $20,000. It's a deal.
You sound like Shark Tank, but
But when I stop to think about it, I'm like, the benefits for 20 grand are, pretty sizable because I'm allowing myself to make the office run better. So the things that are the little minuscule things that get kicked to the side, like, hey, we need to make labels. Well, I don't have time for labels right now. I've got 5 cases to put together. And so it's the little things that get pushed to the side or pushed to the back of the desk that sometimes get forgotten about, that's what that extra person can augment and help to make sure that nothing gets pushed off the desk, that we're on time getting everything put through the system. As it is, I had some cases that I had to dismiss from my truancy and parent contributing because they got backlogged through the county attorney's office, which didn't get back to me until school had already let out. And I'm like, hey, that's one of the things that I can hopefully keep from happening in the future, is to make sure that everything is done timely. That's one of my goals, is to have timely justice so that people aren't getting their notification in July that they need to come to court when school's been out for 6 weeks or more, and they're like, why am I getting a summons to come to court about my kid not coming to school? There is no school right now. So that is something that I hope to keep from happening in the future. So I didn't kill any trees today because I'd already presented this to you guys in paper form back in April. But given circumstances that you've had a lot of people requesting money from you today, if you still have that, please take a look at it, because the facts and figures that I presented there are still accurate. So do you have any questions of me right now as to why I'm making that request again?
I think your request for the part-time is much better than asking for funding for seasonal pay, because that's what can get you in trouble with the labor department. Because if you go over a certain amount of hours and the same, then now you're running them almost like a full-time employee. Now benefits, and boy, could this county get into big trouble for that. So it would be better to go with a part-time employee.
Okay. And I do think that, for the cost of, one part-time employee, that, one of the things that I've had discussions with the other JPs about is that, say I get all caught up and I don't need that person on Wednesday. So I've got Monday, Wednesday, Friday. She could be considered a floater and be able to work at another office, or to be able to cover because she's fully knowledgeable when somebody needs to take a vacation, because in JP2, he has one clerk. If that means that one clerk can't take a vacation or get sick or, go to her kid's graduation or anything like that. So that's, remember my military math? I know there's a Marine in the room. Two Marines in the room. Oh, man. Well, by Army math, 1 is 0. 2 is 1. And 2 plus a half makes me fully covered.
So I have a couple of questions, or would like to address the revenue side of the JP1 fees that are collected into the general fund. So again, I go back historical data. So in 2020, we collected and this is just in Fund 1200 for the general fund. We collected $43,295. In 2021, we collected $38,410. In 2022, we collected $24,643. Last year, we collected $13,514. And right now, with a couple of months left in their budget, we're at $5,900. So it is significantly decreased, and I'm just wondering why.
A lot of that precedes me, so I don't know. I do know that when DPS went to a different ticket citation system, the number of tickets that they started writing for us to be able to see was cut in half. The officers hated the new system, so they just stopped writing. As far as other sources of income, I don't know. To be honest, I couldn't tell you.
Sitting on all the JPs.
Yeah, is that an across-the-board thing, or?
I can tell you, give me just a second.
Well, and I can tell you this too. The other reason is there are not as many working the county as there used to be either. They're pretty much running from accident to accident, not doing patrol duties because
They're on the border.
Right.
That could be part of it.
Well, and I don't know if that's part of it, but to answer your question, so I'll go from JP4 and go backwards. JP4 actually has had a significant increase. On a budget of $20,000 of budgeted revenue projected for this fiscal year, we are at $29,000. Last year it was 21,000. The year before was 19,000. JP 3 is on target. We budgeted 20,000 and we've collected about 12,000 so far. And in 24,000, and then for 2 years in a row, it remained the same at 13,000 in 22 and 23. And right now, we're back on target at about 12 grand.
But you know, I'll tell you this too, if DPS is here, they're not in precinct 1.
No?
There's not enough cars out there to want them going, they're on 181, which is probably all getting sent to 2, maybe, I don't know.
Well,
You get a lot of tickets run off of 181? Yep, see, they're all, or if it's on 181, they probably don't know that if it's north of,
well, that's not that a whole lot. I mean, it's.
well, no, but when you look at it, when you look at where these guys are driving,
Down some of the crossovers, so they have to go farther down the road on North 181. They have to go down south, like it's sort of grass medians or whatever.
I forgot about the crossovers. That's,
North 181.
yeah.
they were pissed about that because, you know, they're in the same building
Well,
as me.
exactly, but I mean, that's where they're primarily, in 775 and 123. So, I mean, that could be part of it, just because we're lucky sometimes if we've got one trooper in the county, period.
You're
Well, I
right.
mean, is that all revenue from DPS? Or from citations in general?
The state doesn't keep it.
Well, and again,
And
like
that's,
the
those
South-
are fees that are coded to the general fund, and then you've got to each road and bridge, y'all get a
right,
certain
I know,
portion of
but
that.
the revenue side of it is that's citations. Is that, and it's citations from either DPS or the constables or
I
the
don't
sheriff's
know what their
department?
reports are.
It's gonna include your criminal, civil, everything, that's all money spent. That's revenue.
Does that say dispatch on it? I'm the on-call this week.
Not your wife wanting to know what you're cooking for supper.
All right. So I owe you a better answer.
Well, I'm just
But-
curious, because I don't know when additional funds are being requested, I always try to give the Commissioners Court some historical data on,
Right.
okay, this is our, revenues have increased, so we can justify that we have the additional revenue to offset the request. And I can't in this case, because I don't know why yours is in reverse. I mean, they're being drastically lower for the last 2 years than when they've ever been. But yet, so it doesn't match the amount of load work or casework, I guess.
Right.
If that's, to me,
It doesn't appear to be supporting my request
right,
based on the numbers.
right, because then that would, to me, I would think that your workload, if your workload is increasing significantly, then the revenue should follow that, and that's where I'm confused.
But not all the cases that we take in is revenue. You know, some of it is going to be, community service only is an option. So even though I think our number of cases is higher than others,
The biggest thing people need to be educated, JPs are not a money-making.
No, we
More
understand.
back in the past,
Yeah, that's,
state of Texas have hamstrung us so bad about what to charge and what not to charge, and we're not allowed this much tickets. But also you gotta remember is that people are not paying their tickets. You got more people out there running around with no driving license than you got DWIs. Because you put in an Omni system, well, they'll just keep driving without it. So the warrant system's not helping us because the warrant's only good for a local warrant, but it's not good for the 254 states in the county, in the state of Texas, to get this money generated for us. So there's a lot of things that JPs need to push the state of Texas so we start turning around. But right now, JPs and municipal courts are not a money-making thing anymore, not in the last 10 years.
Again, you got your civil, that you're not getting the money value coming in, you're not gonna see the civil side of it, you're not gonna see a return on that. You've got indigency that might be may handle our jobs, we may do our jobs the same, but in the end, we're gonna all have different outputs.
And since you two went first, just remember where y'all live is running out of space rapidly.
Oh, I know.
Y'all need to be thinking about where you might,
Or we might hang our hats.
yeah,
Okay,
at some point. I mean, it's, you know, it's a few years down the road, but
so I should
believe
be,
in planning ahead.
should I be looking for a building or designing a building? Because if we buy some land. I just want it to be known that I was under my 10-minute limit, right?
Yeah.
Was I under my 10-minute limit?
Started it over again.
Oh, man.
There was 10 minutes for questions.
Judge Whitman, Commissioners, I'm Judge Griffin. Basically, I'm here to, well, one or two things, and I'll get with Brenda about it, it's negotiable. I just upped my budget right at $2,650, and it's, I can get with her later, we can negotiate the budget on that. But far as trying to request for part-time help, like the other two JPs are kind of did, but I would like to request a full-time, part-time position at 29 hours. I'd like the 17, the average, but $15 an hour if I can get it. And the reason being is I got one clerk. She's been there 12 years and she's gonna retire probably in the next, well, at the end of my term, she's gonna retire. That's what she told me here a couple of weeks ago when we started doing the budget system. So basically, I need somebody to come in there at part-time so I can train her. And it's obvious that the training is the key here, and trying to get them all certified, which Nancy, even though she's been there 12 years, or she'd be 14 years with me, as of now, she's not certified. She just, basically knows the basics and knows how to basically run a JP office. And she's not gonna lie, we do call Monica's office a lot to try to get information. So, that being said, I'm just requesting another part-time clerk at 29 hours, full-time. The building rent will remain the same for the,
No, that's part-time.
What is 29 part-time, full-time mean?
well, what I'm saying is 29 hours for the whole year, every week.
Permanent part-time.
Permanent part-time.
Oh,
You call it full-time, part-time.
Because
you're saying you want a part-time position, not a seasonal person.
No, seasonal's not gonna work. We'll be out of money before y'all even know it. We tried that already, so. Again, the building rent will remain the same for 24, 25, so it will not go up.
What's your rent right now, Judge?
It's,
15,600.
yeah,
Where will you house the part-time employee? Do you have a space?
yeah, it's gonna be right next to Nancy's office right there. It'll still be in the JP courtroom, but it'll be on that back wall right where her door easement right there. I know Monica gave you some numbers and some stuff, but I want to try to give you some statistics of what's going on. Just like citations, last year we had 291 citations that come through my precinct. This year we have 268, so I'll be well over. I will max that probably in the next couple of months, being right at $300 before the end of the year. 300 tickets. Debt claims, we had 85 hearings, but that does not mean the 85 hearings we had throughout the year, or we had 85 as of July. But that does not tell you the 15, that 20 that come through our office that we got to process. And yeah, you can do one in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, it all depends. Depends if all the information's there, everything's correct, and trying to get that in. That does not mean it might just be filed away and lay dormant until somebody decides they want to prosecute or they want to process it. But there's more to the variables than just generating money. Like I said, JP offices and municipals are not a money-making thing. They're designed by the state of Texas, mandated by the state of Texas, by each county to have JP offices in municipal courts. The state of Texas don't care if we make money or not. As long as they get theirs, that's all they care about. But I know that's what it is, but it's just something that these counties got to have, and we got to look. we can't be starving the JP courts anymore. We got to get them going, because they're gonna start putting more on us as the years go by, so. You already heard about the JPs, possibly depending on the election, depends on, gonna be magistrate and immigrants, so them coming through the jails. That's gonna happen. Because you don't have enough immigration judges and the federal government's not gonna do it. So we need to be ready one way or another. So that's just my deal. And the other thing I got, we're trying to base salaries, whatever other counties got. She named you 4 counties. I can name you 4 counties that are worse than we are that pay more money. It's not the county don't have the money, it's the people here who wants to appreciate their JPs, or the people that work for, the elected officials that work for them. And that's what happens. And a lot of them, 58,000, but a lot of them are getting a stipend too. So there's a lot of variables to JP offices statewide. I mean, all you gotta do is just call. And I call them all the time. Go to these conferences, and there's, West Texas don't even have them, the input that we have, but they get paid more money. But it's just the deal is, we'd like to be paid what we're worth. And that's all I have.
Judge, can I ask a consensus on the judge? What, about how many inquests a year do we all do on death?
Last year, I had
Average. The what?
I had 51 last year.
I think I had about 40, 42.
Couldn't hear you, Judge.
I think it was in around 40-something as well.
I mean, most of them are natural, correct?
Majority of them are, yeah. I mean, we don't, not to say it don't happen, but we've been lucky. I mean, this county's been kind of,
They're already in the process of getting in medical examiners
Yeah.
office. That'll relieve you all from that, because they'll bring
Correct.
them out to the,
correct,
but that's not gonna be for another 2 years down the road.
yeah. Yeah, so, thank you.
Thank you. Judge Terry?
Well, they say on presentations, it's best to either be first or last, so here I am. I think I'm last, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am,
About my budget for my office, I asked for an increase in subpay. I don't like my office to be empty on days when I might be on duty and Mary's out, or if we have jury trials or she's at training and I'm on duty. I increased that, I think, just by a few $100s. I also put an increase for utilities, because we're almost maxed out on utilities now, and I know they're not going down. On the issue of JP pay, we probably have the most varied duties of any county employees. Many times we're the go-to office for constituents. Just recently, I had a lady who found out that her birth certificate had her last name, but not a first name, and she couldn't get a passport. And she desperately wanted to go to the rodeo in Calgary. It's coming up. So I did a little research and wrote a letter that I believed her to be, I knew her to be who she was, such and such parents, and I haven't heard that she didn't get her passport. Certainly that's not in the guidebook on how to be a JP. One time I had a lady come and she wanted me to cut off her ankle monitor. That's not in the JP guidebook either. I didn't do it. I'm going to ask you, please don't compare the JP salaries to JPs in other counties. A more accurate comparison would be to compare elected officials to elected officials within this county. No, we're not a money-making office. Judge Burdette, who we all know and love, called it compliance, not money-making. I prefer to think that the purpose of our office is to make sure that justice is served. And I do my best, and I'm sure my colleagues do our best to make sure justice is served. And it's hard to do that, hard to hold up your head high when sometimes you feel like your office is a stepchild of the county. Thank you.
That's all I have who have signed up, commissioners. I don't know if there's anything that each individually, each of you have anything to discuss regarding the budget. Now would be the time to do that if it has secured information.
Well, I mean, salaries are always a challenge, and, you know, if your department generates revenue, that doesn't necessarily mean that all that revenue gets to go to your department or whatever. It all goes to the general fund to be split amongst all the county, or all the departments in the counties. There's a lot of departments that don't generate revenue, that work just as hard as everybody else does. I think this year we have an opportunity to make another good bite and get salaries up a little bit. We were able to put money back. I think we need to do just like we did last year. We need to look at hard pulling that money back out and keeping the reserve. We need to reserve that we need and try to put this money back into the appropriate areas in the county where it needs to be, and just keep our reserve where it needs to be.
So I'm gonna back Commissioner Martin on that. We don't run this county, we're not gonna run this county as a bank. We keep the funds that we need mandated by law for our fund balance, and we started that last year. We're not a bank. How can we tell our constituents, oh, well, we have $14-15 million in our fund balance when we only need 12? You got 3 million in there, why isn't it getting pushed back out to the county? So I don't know if I speak, I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the commissioners, we all feel the same way. So we'll make sure, we'll see what we can do to make it happen. We don't know how much more revenue we're bringing in this year. We don't have those numbers yet. So we've got a lot of housing that's been built, ad valorem taxes come, we don't know what that number is yet. We don't have it yet. So we understand, judges, we do. So, all right, is there any other business?
I'm gonna talk.
Sure, go ahead, Commissioner.
So, obviously, I've known some of the judges for a brief time period, and I've known one for basically all of my life. And everything is considered, and we want to take a look at the grand scheme of things. I do want to say this, it's just a statement. I had somebody come to me and start teasing me before I took office, but I had been elected to office, and he goes, "Aren't you lucky you're already getting a raise and you haven't even served us one day?" And what he was getting at is that the court at that time had decided to give the $2 raises to all the staff across the board, which was an excellent idea. And we're gonna look at it, but I will say this, whenever we all went for being elected to a position, we knew where the pay was at the time that we were seeking out that position. And it was kind of a contract between us and the people. Me, the auditor will take and back this up. I don't like percentage raises as much as I like the thought of giving a per rate. You know, if it's 75 cents per hour, if it's $1 per hour, it gets money into the hands of the employees that really, really need to have an increase in their lives whenever the COLA, the cost of living, is going way, way, way out of control, rather than getting more money into our hands as the top elected officials in the county as far as pay structure. And so, I just want you to know that we're definitely gonna look at it, and we think that you're important. And nobody here wants to be on call that week whenever you get 10 inquests, or 5, or however many. I mean, your job, I want you to know that I have the utmost appreciation for it, and how you have to serve in that type of capacity as well as your daily duties that you do.
Okay, any other business, commissioners? All right. Thank you all very much. Thank you.